Greetings, Cleveland, and welcome to Conversations with Cal, the show that initiates engaging conversation. I'm your host, Cornell Calhoun III, and today our conversation centers around the Urban League of Greater Cleveland and the national conference that's coming to CLE. And here to tell us more about this exciting event is the president and CEO, Ms. Marsha A. Mockabee. Ms. Mockabee, welcome to the show. I'm honored to have you.
Thank you, Cal. I'm honored to be here.
Let's start a conversation.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I have to tell you a quick story.
Okay.
So the Urban League has always been near and dear to my heart. So when I graduated from high school, I was looking for a job, and my mother said, go down to the Urban League. So I went down to the Urban League. They gave me a little index card, and it said, the Independent Tile Company, 13th and Central. I went there, my first job, my first employment, I made $1.94.
Okay, an hour.
An hour.
Oh, okay.
An hour, yes.
Yes.
My supervisor was Fad Ball, and so from then on, the Urban League was special to me. I think I might have gotten like 5 or 6 employment opportunities going right from the Urban League. But I know the Urban League is a lot more than that. What is the mission of the Urban League?
The mission is really about empowering communities and changing lives, just like for you, through employment, through development of young people, through our education youth development programs. We have a financial opportunity center as well, adult workforce programs that help people get jobs. That is a mainstay of the Urban League. And we even have an entrepreneurship center that helps individuals to either start a business, grow a business, get access to capital, and all of those things.
How does it feel to be hosting the national conference? And has it been here before?
It has, but it's been a number of years. It was back in the 90s when we had our last conference here. So how does it feel? I am over the moon. I am over the moon excited about what's going to happen. I don't think this community, Cal, I don't think this community really understands the power of this kind of conference, because usually we have industry-based conferences where people come who are only a part of that industry. This is an issue-based conference that really invites everybody. We've got something for everyone in this conference.
What's the basic theme of the national conference, would you say?
So our national movement, there is our national movement and 92 affiliates locally, of which we're one. And we are operating under this banner right now. It's called the D3 Initiative. And the 3 Ds stand for defend democracy, demand diversity, and defeat poverty.
And this conference takes place, I think, July 16th through the 19th. It's at the Huntington Convention Center. What are some of the highlights? Because I know there's a State of the Urban League address.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So I hope we have time for me to tell it all to you, Cal.
Tell it all to me. I want to hear it all
right?
of it.
Yes. So you're right. The very first thing that kicks off is that our national president, Mark Morial, will be opening with the State of the Urban League address, and that will happen at the Convention Center at 6:00 p.m. on Wednesday, July 16th.
July 16th,
yes,
okay.
Yes.
And what are some of the other events? Because I know there are a lot of events that are free to the public that they can take advantage of. What are some of those?
Okay, good. So let's talk about those first. So the State of the Urban League address, where Mark is speaking, is free and open to the public. So we start that way. The next day, and actually earlier that day on the 16th, there is also a career fair that is free and open to the public. So if people want to get their LinkedIn profile looked at, if they want to get their resume tweaked, retooled, there will be people there to help, and there will be all kinds of employers with real opportunities that participants can engage with. So that happens. And let me go back a minute, because on Tuesday, The 15th, while that's not part of the normal conference period, there's a virtual career fair that people can participate in, virtually.
And how can they access that?
They can go online, and there's links that show them how to engage with the virtual career fair. Okay.
And then talk about the Women of Power Awards luncheon.
Oh my. Okay. Can I do this? I want to talk about that, but that's a ticketed event. So let's go and talk about the last free and open to the public event. That is our community day, and that's on Saturday, July the 19th at the Convention Center. The thing that I love about being part of the Urban League movement is anywhere that we go and do a conference, we leave a gift to the city that hosted us. And so the community fair is our give back to the city. And we will have all kinds of free giveaways, backpacks for youth. There's a back to school zone. There will be there'll be legal clinics, expungement opportunities. And then there will be many of our services right here in Cleveland that will be presenting to our community during that day. So it's going to be amazing. And we have packed it out. We don't have a booth left. So we're excited.
How many people are you expecting?
So we're expecting to come in anywhere between 2,000 to 5,000 attendees over the period, and including those who attend virtually.
Okay. And are there specific events for the kids?
So I'm glad you asked that question. So let me tell you that during the period of the conference, there is also an Urban League Youth Summit that is going on now. It's separate from the conference itself. However, those young people join us twice during the conference, and they come and join us at a couple of the big plenary sessions. But our students that are coming from all over the country, there are about 250 of them, being led by my Urban League team, the National Urban League team, and my staff here at the Urban League. They are staying in dorms at John Carroll University and at Case Western Reserve University. They will have behind the business tours for local businesses here, and they're going to have their own agenda, which is going to be great. Their kickoff night is going to be over at the Brown Stadium. So they're going to have a good time while they're here too.
So are there any keynote speakers other than the national director?
Of course there are. The thing is, they're just starting to put out that information now because they go through not training sessions, but information sessions with all the speakers, so they know exactly when they're going to speak and how long they're going to speak and where and all the protocols. Those are going on now, and so they usually don't put out the whole list of speakers until that happens. So what I would encourage people to do is to go to the National Urban League website, or either go to the Urban League website, to which you can get directed, and you'll be able to begin to see who the speakers are that are going to be here for the conference. And we got a great lineup.
How does the conference intersect with civil rights at all? Civil rights projects?
Like peanut butter and jelly.
I love peanut butter and jelly,
like
so I must have hit on it.
Yes, it's a sandwich. So technically, the Urban League is really a civil rights and social justice organization. And so let me tell you, in this moment that we're in today, remember I talked about defending democracy, right? So in this moment that we're in now, your civil rights organizations and your social justice organizations have to be the organizations that don't shrink, that don't show fear, that need to stand up for what this country has always been based on, and for the opportunities that we've achieved over time that we refuse to give up. So that's what everyone can count on the Urban League for.
Now, in the Urban League, the State of the Urban League address, what are some of the aspects that will be touched on by the director?
So Mark will talk a lot about the D3 agenda that I just mentioned a few minutes ago, but he's also going to mention the State of Black America. So the State of Black America is a seminal report that comes out from the National Urban League every year. Usually it comes out in March, at our legislative policy conference. But this year, Mark gave me a special gift, and he's going to launch it here in Cleveland at the conference.
Now, in terms of the local affiliates and the national, how do they work? How do they work together? Or can I do my own thing as a affiliate, or do I have to kind of how does that work?
So let me define first the relationship. Okay. So each affiliate is its own separate 501c3. Gotcha. So that is where the autonomy resides. However, because we use the national brand of the Urban League national brand, and we have such access to all the assets and services that they provide to us, we're bound together by something called the terms of affiliation that lay out what the National Urban League provides for us and what we have to do in order to stay in that relationship. So, and there is a set agenda, if you will, of 5 key areas that every Urban League has the opportunity to decide which of those 5, some Urban Leagues have 5, some have 3 like we do, but they are housing, health, workforce, okay, education and youth, and entrepreneurship. So, we have the entrepreneurship, the education, and the workforce. Some others also have housing and health. So it just depends on what that local community really wants from that Urban League as to how many they engage in.
And how will you measure the success of the conference? Because I know it won't be just measured by how many people attend.
Absolutely, absolutely. That is a great question. When I met with my staff the other day, I told them, I said, I want you to have a good time at the conference. I want you to soak it all in, network, because this is the greatest chance you'll have to ever network at a conference. I said, but what I want you to already be thinking about is how do you springboard from this conference to have greater impact into our community? How do we use this as a stepping stone to engage new partners that wanted to be a part of the conference, but now they need to be a part of the Urban League movement? I expect us to get new board members. I expect us to get new funders, new partners and working relationships, and certainly more clients. So that's how I will judge what the experience did for us. And certainly one of the things that it's done is we have a great relationship with the national office already, but it has certainly, I think, even heightened the respect that we have for one another and the way in which we engage. So I'm happy about that as well.
And what do you want the attendees to take from the conference?
I want them to take from the conference that, first of all, they understand, one of the things that always has struck me is, as long as we've been doing this work in the community, people say, oh, I didn't know about the Urban League, or I didn't know what the Urban League is doing. It's right. It's like, I want us to remove all of that dialogue. I want people to say, I heard about the Urban League because the conference was here. And now I'm going to go down there and see what they're doing. I'm going to see if they can help me. So I really want that to happen for people, and that they really begin to understand that this Urban League really is structured in a way that we can serve families. We start with the youth. We can have things for the parents. We even have things for the grandparents and so forth. So I think that having people understand that this is your place to come to be empowered is the thing that I would say it was worth it.
What excites you most about the conference and hosting the conference?
Wow. There's so many facets. I think having the opportunity to have our Urban League be showcased, because we have a fabulous team here. They do amazing work. I have people that are committed here at the Urban League who don't see this just as a job. This is a ministry for them, as it is for me. This was a divine appointment for me. And so...
And he said that, a divine appointment.
A divine appointment, yes, sir. And so I just want people to understand the treasure that's here and to come and be blessed by it. So...
You're really thrilled about it now. As you look back, what are the most the most difficult challenges in hosting a national conference? That's big.
Yes. So I think the first thing is just getting an understanding that, and I've talked to other colleagues who have hosted national conferences, so I don't think it's just this one. When you're hosting a national conference as a local city, the first thing you have to understand is the conference doesn't belong to you. You are a partner with the national, and depending on the strength of that national partner, they're going to design and identify most of what's going to happen, and then you come alongside gracefully and support that in the ways that you have the relationships at the local level. So I think that's a challenge that I think anybody who's going to do a national conference will have. But I think because our affiliate ego and leadership ego is not so big that we can't embrace that, it wasn't so hard for us to do.
Talk about some collaborations, some people who helped you put this conference in place.
So I have to start with my board chair and his organization, Kevin Clayton and the Cavaliers. So they have brought, and the rocket companies, they have brought every asset that they have to bear on the host night celebration that we're going to have, and also in helping us to get the word out in the community. And has been, and the board chair has been a great thought partner with us, along with our wonderful planning team. We have a local planning team, and we have amazing management consultants who are leading the process, who you've already met, Ms. Fairfax and fourth quarter. So we wouldn't have been able to do it without that structure to happen, that can help us manage all the different components, because there's so many moving parts to manage.
You know, something that caught my eye was this Demand Diversity Roundtable. And one reason why was because I had attended an event, and Kevin spoke on it, and he said there's a difference between diversity and inclusion. Elaborate a little bit.
Okay, so I'm going to go the full thing of what Kevin always says, because we have an Equity Institute here at the Urban League, and he's my co-leader in that, and so we have a great agenda around this. And so what we really say, you know, people like to use the DEI phrase, and they're always talking about DEI. Well, the first thing we do is we decode that with people that we work with and say, please stop saying that. You need to say diversity, equity, and inclusion. And each of those strategies for making business work well has a different purpose. And so when you allow people to put it all together and call it DEI, you then empower people to be able to make it mean what they want it to mean, as opposed to what it was really intended to do, which is really increase the business case, provide opportunity for individuals who may not have had opportunities before to be able to have access, and to be able, and you know, there's proof that says when you have an inclusive environment in your company, that you do better financially. So there's a great business case for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And by the way, since you mentioned Mr. Clayton, he will be on one of the panels at the conference.
This question struck me also.
Okay.
So you've attended other national conferences before.
Absolutely,
certainly.
almost every year.
So were there things that you witnessed at the other conference that you wanted to incorporate here? And do you think, and do you think that's essential or important?
I do. So let me say this. The model of the conference, and you had asked me earlier, and so we can go back there as well, to the Women of Power Luncheon.
Right. Yeah.
So absolutely, I had the honor of being awarded as a Woman of Power back in 2014 at the Cincinnati Urban League Conference. And so it's always been special to me. And every year I look forward to that. I've often had the opportunity to bring the invocation at those luncheons. I don't have to do that this year, I'm thankful. But it's such a beautiful celebration for women and women leaders. And so I know we're going to have that this year. So that's something I look forward to. I would say every conference has the camaraderie, it feels like a family reunion. So much so when we're having our host night, we actually are calling it family reunion. Because we wanted to have that feel of that intergenerational kind of feel with our young professionals as well as our seasoned individuals, and really celebrating together.
When the conference is over and you're sitting back, in a nice, comfortable chair.
Mm-hmm. For 2 weeks. I'm going to be on vacation, Cal.
For 2 weeks, so okay. What will you think about? What do you hope to think about?
I'll probably sit back and smile that every time I looked up, my board members were there supporting me, because I told them, I said, when I look out in the audience, I'm going to take my strength and energy from seeing, you all have to give it to me because it's going to be a lot to do. And they've all committed to do that. So I'll think about them. I'll think about watching the light go on in the eyes of my staff who have never been to a conference, who are experiencing it for the first time, and the fact that we were able to give them this experience. I'll think about individuals that I saw at the community day who were blessed by the giveaways and all those kinds of things.
People like them giveaways.
Oh yes, and I think that's important. And so there's that, and then the Small Business Matters that also happens on Saturday. That particular program, the number of entrepreneurs who are going to be engaged and who will start coming to the Urban League to get services so that they can start and grow their businesses. So I'll just be thinking about all of that and how it felt, and just and I'm sure I'll be happy that I can rest for a little bit.
And now, once again, how can people reach the Urban League to find out more information about the conference or what events they want to attend? I mean, it's incredible that most of them are free.
Absolutely. Many of them are. But if you want to I think people, once this conference starts, that's when people are going to really understand the magnitude of what this is. So what I would encourage people to do is go to the website, ulcleveland.org.
Okay, we'll put it on the board.
Thank you. And then they can access all the conference stuff because we're linked to the National Urban League, so they'll get direct access. I would encourage people to get a registration, okay? Because if you were going out of town to a conference, most of our local people, you don't have to have a hotel, you don't have to travel. So invest and get a registration. And just come down and be a part of it so you can really understand. If you come to a National Urban League conference, you will then understand what this movement is about. So I would just encourage people to do that. And all of the luncheons and, let me say, the last evening, which is Friday, is our Whitney M. Young Gala. That is the black tie party of the summer. Okay? And I'm saying that because NAACP had theirs already, so I don't have to fuss with them. But it is the black tie event of the summer. And we will have the opportunity then to turn the baton over to the next affiliate who will be hosting the conference next year.
Now, I know that's exciting.
Yes.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Wow. It's been an honor to have you on the show.
Thank you, Cal.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you. It's been an honor to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. See you at the conference, Cal.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure I can find a black tie somewhere.
I think you can, yes.
Thanks to all of you for watching. I'm Cornell Calhoun III for Conversations with Cal. And remember, if you don't like what's being said, change the conversation.